Hello, I'm Carol Behringer. I'm the owner of Pilates and More in Wayne, Pennsylvania, and I am a movement re-education specialist, which is functional movement. So functional movement means how do you move through your day? And we sit, we stand, we walk, and we drive. And many of us have been doing a lot of walking during the last few months. And we have, in the other sessions, in session number 1, we did some just basic postural standing, and then we did morning stretches, and we decompressed the neck and shoulders. Those are the first 2 things that people ask for when they come in for a first Pilates session. And then in the following weeks, 2 and 3, we have worked on neutral spine, lying down and engaging our abdominals. We worked on the feet because our feet carry us around through all our daily tasks. And now today we're graduating through, the last time we did a few basic exercises, and we're going to continue with core strengthening by adding, and you do these at your own level. We never do anything to pain or fatigue. So I will show you each way to engage it, and you will graduate from there. Last week we learned an upper ab curl, so because we have to support this 12 to 15 pound bowling ball over a toothpick. And so today we're going to spend most of the time on the mat doing some basic movements, and then we'll finish with a nice hip opener and glute strengthener, because we do spend a lot of time sitting, and so we need to learn how to open the hips, engage them, and hold ourselves up rather just sinking down our pelvis, our whole torso into our limbs. Because here we are on stilts away from gravity, and we want to hold ourselves up. And the more that we do that, the lighter we are in our feet, the more muscles, tendons, ligaments, and fascia we have to use to take our skeletons through space. So we're going to come down onto our mats. And if you're on well-carpeted floor, that's probably enough. If you're on a hard surface like I am, you want a good thick mat. It's about 3 layers of yoga mat. So you want to have a good padded surface. And we're going to begin by just warming up the spine a little bit, as we did last session. And this is a 5-week summer series, and I hope you're enjoying it. And you don't need to do all of them. They're each made that you can, you're welcome to do them without the previous ones under your belt. So you're going to plant your feet, and we're going to have ankles, knees, and hip sockets in line. And I have reviewed this before, that this is your pelvis. Your hip sockets are where your femur, your thigh bone, goes into your torso, and then there's a ball and socket. So the femur bone comes up, there's a ball and socket, so it's more towards your center line where balance is. So we're just going to warm up the spine by rolling over the sits bones and hanging back to where the arms go straight. And then we're going to inhale to come up. We're going to learn a perfect sit-up today, which is called a roll-up in functional movement. And curl over the tailbone and just hang back off your arms and sit up as tall as you can. So when you're here, the breastbone's lifted up off the belly button. If someone had a spotlight behind me right now, they could see space between each of my vertebrae. And I know I'm repeating myself to say you're only as young as your spine, but you're only as young as your spine. And I didn't make that up. It's been said for probably a century. Now, each time when you go back, if you feel that you're going lower, that's wonderful, because your arms aren't getting longer. Your spine is starting to articulate. And we tend to be very stiff in especially the thoracic spine, the rib cage area, because we don't realize that is mobile. We know we're mobile at the waist and the hips and the shoulders. Take your arms out in front of you. This is called oppositional energy. You're making a perfect door frame, so you're going to pinch behind the armpits a little bit to feel as if you were pushing on a tabletop, and that you're engaged from underneath this back part here, which we usually curl forward because everything happens in front of us. Pushing the arms forward, curling the tailbone under. And this is huge. I'm sure if you're doing this, you feel a huge abdominal engagement. So your abdominals are surround your core. Your core's your whole torso, and your arms and legs plug into it. So now we're going to roll down. I like to extend one leg, hold on to the other, and then think of just rolling down the middle of your spine. So last week we learned the hundreds, which is 10 breaths, inhaling and exhaling for the count of 5, and creating circulation at the end by pumping the arms. We learned it by emptying the neck and holding onto your mat, or you could put a bath towel under your torso to back here and empty out your neck, no tension, and then pick that up. So this is your upper ab connection that when we're strong there, you can hold your shoulders and head up over your torso with a lot of muscle engagement and without any stress. And we do carry around a lot of tension in our necks. And then if you were here, you can see that this is flat, so we're neutral here, and this is an upper ab curl, so that when you take your arms forward, we graduated last week to where we were up here, and you could put one hand behind your head if you start to get tense here. So you want to keep looking at your belly. Eyeball cueing is important. Look at your belly to take the stress out of the front of the neck, lengthen through the back, and pump. Now, because we've had forward head hang, it can be very uncomfortable back here because those muscles have shortened as your head hangs forward. And then you can switch. Inhale for 5 and exhale for 5. And you see the rest of me is staying very stable. Then you can graduate to 2. Pick up 1. Maybe you're fine with 1 at a time. You'll feel how the other foot presses down and equalizes the pelvis. Once you have that under your belt, you can squeeze the knees together to hug the midline, which will also help. And again, an empty neck. If it starts to get tight, one hand goes back. And then you can take your legs out. Now, you don't want to just unfold them because that's using the front. It's as if you were pushing your heels across a table. So the more parts we take away. Now, this is where people can pitch forward and get into their low backs. If that happens to you, you go back here. You can go half bent. But anyway, we're just breathing, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through a soft jaw, which takes the tension out of the strongest muscles that are your chewing muscles. And then when we've accomplished 10 breaths, that could have been 12, roll on down. And then empty your neck. 1 foot down at a time is less stressful to the back, but once we get stronger here, you'll be able to pick up and put down your feet at the same time, but we're working slowly towards it. Now we're going to try and roll up. So we've been rolling back. That warm-up that we did, holding onto the back of the legs, is rolling back. So if you are not successful here, once you get up, you can work on it going backwards, because going down, you're going with gravity. It's helping you. Coming up this way, it's not. So let's take the first one. Organize your spine. Make sure you feel nice and long. Come up and look at your belly, and maybe grab behind the knee pits, and then just pull yourself up as far as you can go, and see if you can come a little higher and a little higher, and then lay that back down. Come up and look at your belly. Reach a little further. And take it back down. Lengthen out your legs. Take your arms up to the ceiling, so they're going to help you. You're going to come up and look at your toes and find that upper ab curl that we had in the hundreds, and then you're going to try and roll up. If you get stuck, pick your knees up, pull your abs back, and then take your head forward, take your arms up by your ears so that you're lengthening your whole spine. And then dig your heels in. Roll on down, and the whole idea is to focus on lying down one bone at a time in your spine, shoulders, and then your head. That's called sequencing. So if anything gets out of order, it won't be as smooth. So the more smoothly you're moving, and then exhale. And again, if you get so far and you need help, use your arms, but just try to keep pulling the abs back away from your shirt, and just taking it here. Now, if this is not a challenge, you can come up and look at your toes, point them, roll the knees towards each other. That will help you glue that midline together. And then push the arms forward and peel yourself up. And then just follow your arms with your head between the arms and pull the abs back. On the way back, you'll push through the heels, curl the tailbone under. And again, you're using your abdominals to lie your spine down one bone at a time. And this is a more advanced movement. So coming up, look at the toes, and if this does not work for you, you go right back to the one before it. And the whole idea is to use your breath and your belly, and then here we're lengthening the spine out. And so those are your graduating movements into the full roll-up. Now we're going to do some leg circles, which open up the hips. And we did them last week with butterfly slides. And I hope you enjoyed those. Those are everybody's favorite because they really open up and give you that feeling of being able to use your limbs and still have a secure, stable pelvis. All right, so we're going to try some leg circles. So we're going to start with the knees bent. So remember that more parts of your body touching the mat is more supportive. And then as we get more body control, which is what functional movement is getting back in touch with how you intentionally move your body, you can go up towards the ceiling and away from your center is more challenging. So we're going to start today with knees bent, shoulders wide, arms long at your side, and when you get down here, because we have a tendency to be like this in our shoulders, just roll your palms open. Let the back of your armpit meld into the mat, and then push your arms long and turn the palms down, and then you have a very stable upper body connection. You're going to pick your knee up over your hip socket and lengthen your leg up. Now, if this is not a struggle for you, you can keep reaching this leg out, and if you can get it all the way out while this one is up, awesome. If not, you just find the space where your spine stays in neutral and your leg is extended. And then just 3 times, point and flex your foot. And then circle around, push through the point, pull through the flex. So this is another non-weight bearing. We are not weight bearing and moving our foot so that when we get up and stand on it, it says, oh, this is awesome. I still know I'm alive and I'm not just trapped in a shoe. So we're going to make a circle, keeping everything stable and using the arms to keep the upper body stable. We're going to make a circle by going across the body, reaching it and brushing the back of that knee on the other one, and the symmetrical circle. Now again, if you have this leg up and this one's longer, even bent like this, you want to keep pressure in the heel. So you have to stabilize that side. And let's just try 3, but let's use our breath. Inhale across and push, exhale to bring it back around. So this is our safest direction, crossing over the body first. It's more stable, it's more centered. And then let's try a long-legged one for those that need a bigger challenge. And use your breath, inhale to cross over and push, exhale to come around. Now we're going to try the other direction. So for those of you that need the knee bent, it's going to go out to where you followed that other circle, push it away, pull it across the midline, and it'll feel like the back of the knee is going to brush the other. If you need a little bit more challenge, the leg goes out further. You can flex and push the heel down, try to keep the toes down. And then for those of you that are very stable and very flexible in your joints already, and even flexible people can feel tight, so that's the opposite direction. And then just pull that knee into your shoulder and lengthen the other one out so that you feel a hip opening here and a good stretch through the hamstrings and the glutes here. And if you peek at your thigh, you want to make sure that your foot's not inward, because that collapses, that's a collapse in the hip. So if the shin, you can't see the shin in the foot behind the thigh, you'll feel how light you feel in your socket. And then we have to switch them up. So if we started with the knees bent, reorganize your spine. You want to have that neutral space and the lumbar spine, ribs are down, head is down, chin is floating. If you do struggle with forward head hang and you feel like this when you're moving, you can put a pillow, a little pillow, or fold up a hand towel. All right, this leg's going up towards the ceiling, and we're going to point and flex and circle around so the foot has a treat while it's not weight bearing. And then take this leg wherever it can go that you can keep this leg up and straight. And even if your knee's bent, you have to take it out at an angle, just so you feel that you're stabilizing. All right, let's take it across, brush the back of the knee. And it's good for everybody who even can do the bigger movements to try the smaller movements so that you can see how each way challenges your body. And you're inhaling across, exhaling, stabilizes. And then just 5 in each direction. So let's take the smaller one. And all of this is staying still with the hop of the arms. Inhale to reach, exhale to pull. So basically we always inhale to push, exhale to pull. And even when you're moving furniture. All right, now We're going to come up by holding on to one of the legs, look at the other foot, and reach on up. We're going to roll like a ball. We did this last week. So if your movement was just to pick up your toes and feel your abs engage and your shoulders move down, that you still have the breastbone lifted off the belly button. If your move was just to do that, and so the challenge of having the heels up is huge. Pick this up. Now today I have my hands on my shins. Last week we had them back here, which allows for some momentum should you decide. If you do not have osteoporosis, if you have osteoporosis, you do not want to roll all the way back, or if you have any kind of vertebra injuries, you can just keep doing that, and that will strengthen your spine and your abdominals, and then you can roll back and forth. This has a little momentum. You can see that I'm using my lower legs as momentum. If you need more challenge, you hold on to the front of the shins, engage the upper body, you're in an upper ab curl to pull yourself up. The low belly starts you back. The upper abs bring you up. We're going to add on 3 movements that are part of the abdominal series. You're going to roll down just to your shoulder blades and hug your knees into your nose. You're going to send one leg out and you're going to pull this knee into your shoulder. Then you're going to send the other leg out. So I'm taking this at a high angle. So this is called single leg stretches. Pull one in as you push the other one out. And you're using the upper body because you're pushing and pulling. It's like a piston pumping. Now, you can take the other leg for challenge. This leg goes lower, but nothing else changes. We're in the upper ab curl, assisted by using the hands against the leg. And again, it's your working level, so the leg can be up at a 45-degree angle. It can be down here almost as low as your torso. So you have to find your working level. Take your head down and empty your neck by rolling your head side to side. That's a single leg stretch. We're going for the double leg stretch. So you're going to nod your chin forward, the same thing that we learned here, picking the head up. So let's start with just the arms going, circle around and catching the shins, because this takes some coordination. Then just take the arms up and shoot the legs out, and now circle around and catch. So the important thing here is to really use those upper abs to keep your shoulders and head up. Now you don't want to take your arms back so far that anything else shifts. So we're just going up to the ceiling by the ears, out to the side and around. And we only do each one of these things 5 times, and it lasts the length of a breath. So we inhale to get big, exhale to get small. Take the head down and take it from side to side. Scissors are next. So there are some variations for scissors. Let's first just take the legs up and arms at the side. So you want to make sure that you're still in neutral here, that your low belly is keeping your pelvis neutral. And press the arms down, and then just take one leg out and pull it back, and then the other leg and pull it back. Just so for this feeling of how you're still, if your low back starts to pop up, you've taken the leg too far. Let's add the upper ab curl. That'll let the legs move better as well. So you're going to nod your chin forward just like you did with either the towel or the mat behind you. You can also use your hands to start feeling this. The head is heavy in the hands, and you pick the head up to look at your belly, and when you feel the abdominals engage, you know that you can let go of your head. So you're going to take, if you have trouble straightening your legs, you can take them out at an angle and hold on lower towards your torso, and you're going to just move your legs enough that you can keep them straight. So if it's only this big, that's how big you go. If you're more flexible, and again, I'm going to mention that flexible people feel tight too, so they're going to feel this. So you're keeping your legs right in their own lane. And as you bring it towards you, you just give it another little reach and think you're going to bring your forehead to your knee. And that's strengthening the upper abs as the lower abs are moving the legs. So again, small and closer, or a little bit in an angle if they won't straighten. So we're just building and building and building. And then come on down and empty your neck. We're going to come up to seated again, so hold on to the leg, come up and look at the other foot, pull the abs back and push the legs in to roll you up gently. So that's fine to come up that way if you have osteoporosis. You just don't want to roll back onto it with weight bearing in the rolling like a ball. And so as long as you use your abdominals, you don't want the spine to collapse. All right, now we're going to do our spine stretches that we had last week. So you take your feet wider than your mat or wider than your pelvis. And if you can't straighten your legs, you bend your knees and press your heels down. Your spine is against an imaginary wall. Settle your shoulders, lift your breastbone up through that space. Again, creating a space between each vertebra so that you can be more flexible in your spine. Look down your shirt. Push your arms forward. We're going to go forward right away today. And we're not collapsing. We're lengthening from tailbone through the crown of the head. And then we're picking up that spine with all the abdominals. Look down your shirt. Bend at the breastbone. Lift your ribs over that imaginary coffee table that your legs are under. And then press your spine back against an imaginary wall in order that your shoulders come back before your head floats up. Your head should always follow your spine, but because we whip our heads around all the time, and it's an extremity, it just floats on our spine, we tend to let it take over. But the more that we remind our body that this is the order that it would like to go in, these good habits will take over from the others. And then we're going to add the twist. It's called saw. So you're going to take your arms out along that coffee table top until your thumbs are just at the edge. Press down on the edge. You can pop your knees again. If you can't sit up over your sits bones, bend your knees. You will get there. And then, or you'll get to wherever you go. It's your working level. We're going to lift and twist and go right down the center, thumb up in the front, thumb down in the back. The abs are pulling back as the spine is reaching forward. And this is pulling the shoulders away from the ear. Push with the back arm to bring yourself up through the center. Lift and twist and turn, thumb up in the front, thumb down in the back, pull the abs back, pull the chest apart. We don't twist a lot, and injuries occur a lot by bending over to pick something up and twisting with the vertebra compressed on each other, and that's where it's a danger zone. If you can go for the little toe. So remember, you're going at your working level. If you can go for the big toe here, and you're keeping the opposite hip anchored, so you're keeping your pelvis neutral, sits bones are both down. And then you can go for the middle toe. So you want to challenge yourself, but you don't want to do anything to pain or fatigue. So we're being very mindful of what we feel. So we're re-educating our movements. And last one to each side. Exhale as you go forward. Wring all the air out of your lungs. Your abdominals help with that. Remember, exhalation, the abdominals squeeze the air out of the lungs. And the more we squeeze out, diaphragmatic breathing, inhale, will just automatically pull more air in. All right, so that's just adding on. We added the abdominal series on this week. So we're going to finish with a nice hip opener. If you are not comfortable kneeling, this is not an exercise for you. So we're just going to come up to kneeling with, again, one knee under each hip socket, lined up, just like we would line up our toes, and we want to stand on the knees. And if you can be on your knees and use something for balance, that's fine too. You could rest on a chair. But we're going to take one leg forward. So again, this is, last week we did some standing balances where we brought the knee up to hip height, which is as if you were standing, it would be like going up 2 steps at a time. So you're going to put your hands on your knees and you're going to square up your hips. And we're just going to tuck the tailbone towards the front, and just as you do this, and actually I'm going to switch legs, I think it might be a better view for you. So I'm at 90-90 here, this is 90 degrees there, and then you're going to just hold on to this knee and then curl the tailbone under, and as you push it forward, it opens up this hip, it gives you a good quad stretch. This muscle is a knee extender and a hip flexor, so it gets overused like mad. Everything we do, standing up from seated, driving your car even, we use this muscle, is used so much. So for every step you take walking, every time you lift something. So when they say lift with your legs, we're going to go over that at some point too. Most people start to lift with their legs and then they yank with their low back once they get the weight of the object that they're picking up. So we'll do some work on that. So this is functional movement. How do I get through the day safely in my body? And then switch sides. And I have a very squishy mat, so it's very challenging balance-wise. Okay, and if you do have some, bony knees, you could put a pad just under the down knee where the weight is. So you want to stay lifted, and the more we lift, the lighter we are on our joints, even standing. Then just tuck that tailbone forward and push the hips, and you'll get a great quad stretch. It's also firing up your glutes. I always call these the back pocket muscles. So they're a group called the deep six rotators that are deep within your musculature there, and they're very important. You didn't even know that. I didn't know that. I was fascinated on them when I was learning anatomy. And then, if we're doing this really well, you should be able to step up very easily. And let's just swing to reorganize our bodies. We always like to reorganize them just before we leave a session because you're going to leave here standing. All right, have a great week. Remember to email me with any questions, and I hope to see you for the next session.